Ministers, a simple question, Ms. Freeland. Do you believe there's a direct connection between increased fossil fuel burning and the climate catastrophe?
Of course.
Oh, good. Because everybody I've asked who supports TMX says there isn't. So I just want to know where the buck stops on this. Because I remember when the Prime Minister went to Paris, he made legally binding commitments. You know, Canada's back. Since then, oil production in Canada has increased 41%. Thanks to TMX, we're going to see Cenovus will increase from 800,000 to 950,000 barrels a day. Heavy bitumen is going to increase 500,000 barrels a day. I noticed that you mentioned all the positive things, but you didn't mention climate. Do you think that all this increased oil is going to have an impact on the climate?
Mr. Angus, with like total sincerity, I respect you so much, and I respect the work you've done for many years.
That's not the question.
No,
I don't care if you respect me or not. Do you think?
I care.
Do you think that fossil fuel burning is going to have an impact? The increase, yes or no?
I care, and here's what I want to say. We can have a climate plan and an economic plan that go together. We can have a plan for working people and good jobs in Canada and for energy security and for climate at the same time. And I want to quote one of your colleagues who I also respect, Heather McPherson, who says, the NDP has always been the party that supports the working class.
Absolutely.
We will always make sure that we don't leave the workers behind. One of the things we've learned is if we don't balance protecting the climate and protecting Alberta workers, you don't get buy-in. I agree with that.
I would love to have a Heather McPherson here in your position, but she's not. So my question, though, is: do you believe is there a connection with all this increase that's happened under the Prime Minister with climate crisis? Yes or no? That's all. I don't need all the other stuff.
No, the reality actually is our government has bent the curve for the first time, and we are simultaneously having economic growth and emissions going down.
Yeah,
that is a huge accomplishment, and it is an accomplishment that all sectors need to contribute to.
Okay, thank you for that. You talk about, the number one thing that you said was the fair market value, that we've closed a barrel differential from by $12. And yet we're subsidizing, according to the energy regulator, $13 a barrel that comes down the pipe. How does that work?
I'm glad you talked about the price differential, and I'm going to quote another great NDP woman.
Subsidizing.
This
I don't
is
care
Rachel
about the differential.
Notley, and I hope you care what Rachel Notley has to say, because
I
what Rachel
care what
said
you have to say.
money
Do you
that
believe
should
that we should be spending 52% for every barrel of bitumen should be paid by the public and not Cenovus? Yes or no?
I don't think that that's what's happening, Mr. Angus.
Well, that's what the Canadian Energy Regulator told us.
The reality is that this pipeline, purely as a financial transaction, is of benefit to the people of Canada. Trevor Tombe, who I hope we will all agree is a reliable economist, has estimated will make 4 to 8
52% of the cost of every barrel. Yes.
I disagree with that assertion.
I'm making that up.
No, but I think that it is a misapprehension of the situation.
Okay.
The Canadian Energy...
Maybe I can just add one thing.
I'm going to ask, I've given some leeway here, and I just want to make sure interpreters can interpret the conversation, the question back and forth. Mr. Angus, if you can ask and just give enough time for an answer, and we can go back and forth as much as we like, just so the interpreters can have the ability to interpret.
Absolutely. Anyways, Ms. Freeland, PetroChina has just pulled its shipments out of TMX because they say they're having to pay too much already, which they're paying 48% of the cost of the barrel. So are you going to make sure that the companies pay the whole shot coming down the pipe, or is it going to be the public that continues to subsidize?
I could not disagree more strongly with the assertions implied in your question. TMX, purely as a financial investment, is delivering value for money for Canadians every single day. This is a profitable nation-building investment in terms of tax revenues, in terms of jobs, and in terms of the actual money that we are getting. And I will say, in terms of the tolls, that is a decision for the CER.
Right.
We have an arm's length body that makes those decisions, and I think all of us should be building up rather than tearing down national institutions like that. No,
Okay,
seriously.
sorry.
It's
The
actually
last
true.
thing I want to do is tear down a national institution that's
That's good.
that's
No,
giving
but it's
52%
actually important.
per
No,
barrel
there's a
to
case right now, but-
Cenovus. So final question before we go too far down the rabbit hole. It cost us $34 billion. Are you going to get that money back, or are you going to strike the debt as some kind of national reconciliation, fighting Putin, saving the planet initiative? Are we getting our $34 billion back, and how are we going to get back if we're not getting 100% of the tolls?
So first of all, Mr. Angus, I object very strongly to a mocking reference to fighting Vladimir Putin. He is the biggest menace to global security.
And that's got
right
nothing
now.
to do with bitumen coming down the pipe. This is what you brought into this.
Your question,
This is what you brought into this
Now,
whole
in terms-
conversation. So are we getting our
because it's relevant.
$34 billion back?
Because it's relevant, and I
At
didn't say it
the tolls.
mockingly. In terms of the actual value, I am, and let me be categorical, I am very confident that Canadians will get a good deal on this.
A
They
good
already
deal.
are,
Will we get the
and they will.
$34 billion
I'm very
back?
confident we will, yes.
Okay,
So
thank you very much.
time's